morning. Umayos magdating sa inyo. Narinig ko ba? Yes. Nabanggit nga kanina tungkol dun sa election nga ng Amerika at alam niyo rin siguro kung kayo ay nagbubukas na yung social media gaano kaiba ang election law this year at medyo nakaiba rin ang reaction ng mga tao. May nakausap akong taga doon mismo ka-chat ko one time at siya isang Kristiyano. At talagang medyo divisive yung candidates sila in terms of yung Christians din. Ang Christians pala ay pumapanig mostly, not pumapanig kay Trump, pero ayaw nila kay Hillary on particular issues like, for example, abortion and things like that. No? So yun, on the other hand, ayaw din nila actually kay Trump. So it's sometimes they choose between lesser evils. Titignan mo yan, talaga namang may pagkukulang lahat siguro ng magiging kandidato when it comes to who's really qualified. And kung sino yung bumoboto. Kasi sa mga bumoboto, kung sino gusto mo. At saka kung kayo ay parang Christian, minsan ang preference mo ay iba rin. Kaysa sa kapatid mo din, di ba? So, paano natin titignan ngayon itong klaseng mga ganitong issues sa bansa, kahit sa atin din? Diba? Tinutulad si Trump kay din. Diba? So, parang nakakatawang pa kung ating iisipin ang nangyayari. Natutuwa yung iba, pero dapat natin isipin siguro, ano ba talaga ang dapat natin tinitingnan bilang mga Kristiyano in terms of leadership. At ito rin ang aking paksa ngayong umaga nito. Ang topic ko po ay seeking to serve. Ito ay binigay sa akin na passage ni Pastor Ting sa Matthew 20 verses 20 to 28. So, ito ho ay ating titignan, ito ay ating pag-aaralan at makikita ko natin dito kung ano yung sinasabi ni Jesus tungkol sa pagiging isang great at paano ang isang tao ay magiging not only great but great in terms in the eyes of the Lord, great in terms of leadership, great in terms of what God wants. When we look at the world, we can think of people who we can define as great. You know? Sino ang nagsabi ng I am the greatest? Ali. So, maraming ganyan, di ba? At marami tayong mga taong tinatakilik ng mga the greatest. Iba-ibang field yan, di ba? Diba sa, pag titignan mo yung mga the great composers, halimbawa, lumalabas yan yung mga pangalan nila Mozart, Beethoven, and all the rest. Pag sa field naman ng sports, yung lumalabas, di ba? Yung pangalan, si Pagkels is one of those recognized. Iba rin sa field ng medicine, iba rin sa field of other sciences, iba rin sa field of siguro religion, Christianity. So sa atin, magko-concentrate tayo sa area of who's the greatest, both in the area of our faith as well as in the area of the society that we are living in. So atin na po titignan ang ating passage for today, which is in Matthew 20, verses 20 to 22. So just before this verse of 20, mayroon pong si Jesus Christ po ay nagsabi na dun sa mga disciples niya na ako ay mamamatay, the Son Man will be delivered and will suffer and will be killed. Yan basically sinasabi niya. Just a few verses before this. So parang sinasabi niya sa disciples niya that He was about to die in the next coming days. As you know, Jesus Christ's ministry was about 3.5 years. So this is just a few days, or sabihin natin a few weeks before He was to be crucified. All those years, the disciples knew that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, the Son of Man. But even if Jesus Christ may have said so many times that He was about to die, medyo hindi nila natatanggap yun. So kahit ilang beses niya sasabihin, minsan hindi nila alam kung ano yung sabihin ng sinasabi niya. And ito po yung sitwasyon. Then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with her sons, kneeling down, asked a favor of Him. So, tingnan mo natin yung sitwasyon. Siguro, nakita niya si Jesus, itong si mother of Zebedee. Hindi ko sinabi yung pangalan niya mismo. At nilapitan niya si Jesus. At sabi, para siyang she asked a favor, pero para siyang lumuhod pa. So, para siyang nagdadasal, para siyang nagpapakumbaba. At talaga, meron siyang gustong matanggap bilang isang pabor. Kasi sabi nga doon sa can we go back to the first form? Ask a favor of Him. Di ba tayo rin kung minsan sinasabi natin, can I ask a favor from you? Pag sinabi natin yung can I ask a favor from you, usually, may laman yung ganong classic request. Hindi lang yung request na ordinary request. Oh, may gusto ako sa'yo. May gusto akong pabor sa'yo. May favor ang hihingin. Usually, yan yung mga bagay na ayaw mo, parang gusto mo talaga matanggap. Okay? Kaya yun ang sinasabi natin, may favor ang hihingin. Usually serious yan. Okay? And yun yung request. So let's go to the next verse. And Jesus Christ, of course, said, what is it that you want? What is it that you want? Jesus wanted to know exactly kung ano yung gusto ng nanay ng mga sons of Zebedee. Or in other words, pwede na natin sabihin, ano ba gusto mong bigay ko sa iyo? What can I do for you? Pero Jesus Christ did not say, di ba sa atin, pag matagal na tayo magkakaibigan, pag sinabi mo, may hihingin ako sa iyo. Usually, sagot natin, since kaibigan natin, sure, say whatever you want, and I'll do it for you. Tinatali mo na yung sarili mo dun sa tao, even before masabi niya yung request niya. But Jesus Christ did not do that. So, what is it that you want from me? And then she said, the mother of the sons of Zebedee, by the way, the sons of Zebedee here are James and John. So, yung James na to, is not the same James who wrote the Epistle of James, yung kapatid ni Jesus. Itong James na to ay kapatid ni John. Si John naman is isang mga gospel writers. At si John din, siya yung huling disciple na apostle who died, who was the one who wrote not only the Gospel of John, but also the book of Revelation. So sila yun. Sila yung two sons of God. Ito yung request niya. She said, grant that one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in your kingdom. So, alalahanin po natin na nung nabanggit siguro ni Jesus na siya ay resurrect, sinasabi ko kanina, hindi nila tinatanggap nila. Ang tinatanggap nilang Messiah ay someone who will replace and overthrow the Roman government at that time. So they were not thinking in terms of at the resurrection. They were thinking along the lines of magiging king si Jesus very soon from now. So that was their thinking, na malapit na maging king of kings si Jesus. At gusto nilang magkaroon ng posisyon yung dalawang tao. Isipin din natin na sino yung humingi ng pabor? Yung nanay. Di ba parang interesting yun? Diba? Bakit kaya yung nanay? Meron bang influensya ang nanay sa isang request kaya? natural na kilala nila si Jesus. No? Jesus Christ knows the son, the mother. Pero parang ginagamit ng nanay yung kanyang pagiging isang ina para humingi ng isang tungkol kay Jesus. So, medyo ganun ang nangyari. Pero one would wonder whether this is really the request of the mother or actually the request of James and John. And as we will see that, hindi na pumasok sa isip, bakit, ano ba kaya alam yung nanay doon sa mga disciples, especially when it comes to having positions. Of course, the mother would probably have thought, well, that's nice, actually. She may have thought of it. But my feeling is actually, itong dalawang to, nag-usap-usap yung dalawang to, na-involve ng kanilang nanay, at yung nanay ang kanilang ginamit para lapitan sa Jesus. Bakit hindi sila mismo ang lumapit kay Jesus para humingi ng ganitong position? Makikita natin kung bakit. And then, what Jesus Christ, grant that one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in the kingdom. In verse 22 now, what did Jesus say? You don't know what you are asking. So, maganda nga yung response ni Jesus kasi hindi niya tinali ka rin yung sarili niya sa favor niya. Sa atin kasi, kaibigan mo yan, may gusto siyang pabor sa'yo, sure sinasagot na natin, anything you want, I can give you, or I will do it for you. Tinatali na natin, sabi ko. Pero this one, I think it's a very good example, not to say yes to something but you don't know what it is yet. And then sabi niya, you don't know what you're asking. Jesus said to whom? To them. So, hindi lang to her. To them. So parang dito na ho yung pumapasok yung kasagutan. He was not talking to just the mother anymore. He's now talking to the mother and to James and John. And he's saying, you do not understand. He was actually talking to the three of them. So they don't know the mind of God. They don't know what they're asking in terms of ano ba talaga yung maging uupo sa kanan at sa kaliwa. For them, the way they understand it, for the disciples, it's basically a position of leadership, a position of greatness, a position of influence. It is a position that is above the rest of the disciples. And that's what they wanted. But Jesus Christ said, again, can you drink the cup I am going to drink? Hindi rin nila naiintindihan yun. It is the cup of what? Suffering, being killed, being martyred. That's what happened to Jesus Christ. Remember when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he was to be arrested. Anong sinabi niya? Anong dasal niya sa kanyang ama? Father, if it were possible, let this cup pass from me. Ganun kahirap yung cup na yun. And then what did the disciples say? We can. It just shows that they don't see the gravity of what they were asking for, as well as what it takes for them to have that. The cup for them is, as long as I get into that position, okay, at kakayanin natin yan. They had no idea that it actually meant martyrdom, death. That's exactly what happened to James. He was martyred. Okay? So Jesus said to them in verse 23, by the way, when they said we can, sino yung we don't? It was already the disciples who were talking. Okay? We can. Kasi sila yung pumuposition eh. this request is actually that of the sons din. So yung request actually umalabas, hindi sa natin, pero sa kanila. Jesus said in verse 23, said to them, "You will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at my right or left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father." So you will indeed drink from my cup is a prophetic statement of Jesus that they will indeed suffer. They will have a taste of what Jesus went through. James was persecuted and he was executed around AD 44, shortly after the death of Christ. John was the last to die with the disciples, but you can imagine he was exiled and isolated from the rest of the church members. It must have been a lonely existence for him. And it was probably very difficult for him also. But that's the kind of suffering that he went through. But the point is, what they were asking for is not for Christ to give. Wasn't that a great disappointment? If you were James and John, ano ba to? Hindi pala tayo magbibigyan nitong teacher natin. Binibigay niya pala yung responsibilidad na yan, privilege na yan sa kanyang ama. Pero remember, parang patago nila sinabi ito. Parang patago. And verse 24, when the 10 disciples heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers. So narinig nila yung usap-usap, which was meant to be maybe private. Which was meant to be, kaya pala ginagamit nila yung nanay. Kasi, kung sila mismo lalapit kay Jesus Cristo, siguradong maririnig ka agad siya. Tsaka malalaman pinag-uusapan nyo. Pero yung nanay, siguro sa ibang mga disciples, they're like, this nanay yun, it's nothing to do with us as disciples. Until they found out, mayroon pala pinag-uusapan about positions in the kingdom. That's why they were very, very angry. They were really, really upset. Iniisahan pala sila itong dalawang ito. Right? Can you imagine what that must have felt like? Kayong magkakasama for 3.5 years almost. Lahat we share together. From a meal to your struggles. You go together sa inyong mga ministries. So there has to be parang transparency and everything. And then all of a sudden, itong dalawang ito, gusto nilang pumagibabaw to the rest. That's why they were angry. I could understand that. The other disciples fully understood the implication of this request of the mother, or actually their request of the two brothers. Their primary motivation for this request is to be on top, to be seen as the greatest. One on the left, one on the right. It means to be preeminent of the 12, of the 10. Okay? Mas angat sila. They want to be the boss. They want to be the Lord. They want to be the ruler over the 10 disciples. And so that's how they were thinking in terms of being great is position. Being great is dependent upon position. Not only that, they were trying to secure those top 2 positions using a third party of influence, which was their mother. One can imagine the kind of conversations that two had with their mother as they thought about this plan, its execution behind the other disciples. So we can all understand why they were so upset. Now, Sabi ni Jesus Cristo dito sa verse 25 now. So they were angry. They were probably now beginning to think, ano pong klaseng mga magkakapatid kayo, magkakasama tayo, tapos ganyan kayo magsalita. And so all the rest were really beginning to show their anger, probably na kung anong salita ang binitawan ng mga disciples, other disciples, against these two. So now there's this division that's occurring between them and them. And all because of what? Pride. Desire to be preeminent. So Jesus called them, tried to diffuse the situation, and called them together and said, one is, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them. And that's the model they know. In terms of being great, it is position. You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and the high officials, again, position, exercise authority over them. So position with authority, that's what makes somebody great. So that's the Gentile model of leadership and greatness. And this is what Jesus Christ was trying to explain. The Gentile means these are non-believers, non-Christians. Here Jesus explains the model of leadership or rule or the lordship of the Gentiles, which includes the Roman government which they were under. They lorded over them, meaning to say they used authority as the basis of leadership. Whoever is in power makes the rule. Yan yung golden rule, di ba? Whoever has the goal, who has the rule? Yung golden rule, di ba? Here, whoever has the power makes the rules in preference to the one in authority. It is a top-down lordship. So the king and all the rest, until sa baba, pinakababa are the subjects or the servants, and below that are the slaves. So yun yung parang chain of command. And usually, the highest, the most privileged, are the ones most comfortable, and those who do the dirty work are usually the ones below, which are the servants, and below that are the slaves. Those in power have relatively very easy life. Those who are subjects, the servants, have the most difficult lives, following the commands and instructions of the leader. So that is the model. Now, we'll look at the model now that Jesus Christ wants them to have in verse 26. But not so with you. I don't like you to follow that kind of a model when it comes to your leadership, in terms of your greatness. Sabi niya, not so with you. Instead, in contrast, whoever wants to become great among you, which the two disciples actually wanted to be, must be your servant. See, remember sinabi ko, from the king to the servant to the slaves. Sa kanya, you want to be great, don't aim for the highest position, aim for the lowest position. So it's baliktad mo yung kanyang principle. And there is a reason for that. So, and this is what basically Jesus is trying to drive at. This is your model. This is your model of leadership. Those who are believers are the disciples of Jesus Christ. Katulad natin, ito yung isipin natin. Verse 27, dagdag ko lang, and whoever wants to be first must be your what? What's lower than a servant is a slave. Actually, first the servants and slaves are basically the same. Pero kung minsan, sinabi mong servant kasi someone who can be a part of your tribe. Okay? Somebody who can be a Jew who just does the work of a servant. Okay? Pero a slave is different. A slave is really somebody who has no rights at all. So yun yung kaibahan. At first, sinabi ni Jesus Christ as servant, but now as a slave. This model of braveness is, of course, top-down. Hindi lang top-down. Looking at yourself as a slave, looking at yourself as nothing. Jesus makes the servant role the preferred position, but Jesus here makes the slave role the preferred way of serving. So you're called to be a servant. How do you serve? Like a slave. Like a slave. So what are the qualities of a slave? Firstly, there's no freedom. Sa kanila, noong time na yun, these are usually, remember, kung naalala niyo mo yung movies, kayo na-imagine, yung nagsasagwan sa lowest deck of a ship sometimes, wala pa silang mga motor noon, so they use manpower. And those who do that are the slaves. And they are in very deplorable conditions. Hindi lang yun. Naka-chain mo sila. And I think that's what the image that you can have in terms of no freedom. They have no freedom because they're bound in chains. They're bound to duty. And if you look at what Jesus Christ might be trying to say here, is when we serve as slaves, we are binding ourselves to the duty, to that attitude of serving one another. Also, for a slave, serving is the whole life. Okay? A servant, service is the whole life. Yun na yun eh. That's his position. To serve, nothing more. Welfare of the master is an everyday concern. And he cannot ever go against the wishes of the master. He cannot betray his master. So you just imagine the kind of picture that Jesus Christ is trying to say here. Talagang, kung tayo ay mga disciples ng time yun, this is difficult to imagine in terms of changing the way we look at leadership. Kiraputan, this is not easy. What Jesus is trying to say to them is hard to accept. Very difficult to accept. Okay? What would help them understand that? Because there's no way they can sort of just think, so how am I going to serve now? What do you mean, serve one another like a slave? And then, he explains it like this in verse 28. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. This is how you can be a servant. This is how you can be a slave. This is what I mean with those kinds of words, with those kinds of pictures that you have in your mind. What I've done, what I have shown you is the way to be a servant, the way to be a slave, the way to be great. That's what he is saying. So he points to his own life and explains his own mindset, his own attitude, his own motivation towards them. Even if he is their teacher, even if he is the Son of Man, even if he is the Son of God. He serves even though he could seek to be served. That's something we have to see in Christ. He can demand service from them as his disciples, but he did not use them right. Instead, he gave his life as a ransom for many. The key word is gave without asking anything in return. Okay? And what did he give? He gave his very life. How did he give his very life as a servant, as our slave? He gave it as if it was worth nothing. He gave it as if it was worthless. Because that's the way he was treated. The way he was crucified, he was a sinner, he was a criminal, as if his life was worth nothing to the people that he served. So it did not matter for him whether people recognize who he really is. What is important to Jesus Christ is to have that mindset in which the self is not an issue when it comes to serving. Of course, we understand that being the Son of God, his physical life was more than every human being born combined. Jesus knows that, but in his manner of serving, he did not allow the thought of his superiority as a God, as a Son of God, to interfere with how he served us. He did not allow it to occupy his mind. His humility made him accomplish the impossible mission and made it possible. So these are kabaligtaran lahat. You know, when you analyze what he was saying here, everything's topsy-turvy, upside down kind of thinking. For the disciples, that was difficult to take until they saw the way he served. So for us also, I think the lesson here is not to look at a servant anymore, because we don't have slaves in our country, but maybe we can look at Jesus Christ, who gave himself like a slave. We have been ransomed from our lowliness, brought about by our brokenness, by virtue of Jesus Christ's model of leadership and greatness. So we might ask, how can one attain the position of greatness? Because that was the issue of James and John. How can one attain the position of greatness since you cannot give it to us? Which was a disappointment to them. The simple answer is by seeking to live like Jesus Christ. That was the more important thing. That is the course. Of course, it is easier said than done, but that's the way it should be done. So instead of asking, how can I attain the position of greatness? How can I be number one? How can I be number two? How can I be great? Maybe the question should be, how can I become a servant of and for others? By others, we mean our brothers and sisters in the faith, but it should be understood better as whomever we have the opportunity to serve at any given time. These could be people we have long known, or these could be people, strangers, we may have met for the first time. We may have meet along the way. So I'll just show you a little bit more of the differences of the two models. High position of leadership is the measure of greatness for our society. So leadership is the measure of greatness. Greatness is the goal and motivation of the Gentiles. And we see that now that greatness is equated as what in terms of position, and for many it is the motivation, it is the goal, it is the final thing that's underlying. So leadership or the greatness. In Jesus' model, service is the measure of greatness. Service is the goal, not being great. Service is the goal. Service is the end goal. Service is not the motivation. It is never what one can attain from it, which is greatness. In society, It puts emphasis on the big and spectacular accomplishments that makes a person great. I can remember Ali, of course, diba? May pagkamayabang kasi si Ali, I'm the greatest, he says. It puts emphasis on what he has accomplished. That's the way society looks at greatness in terms of accomplishments, in terms of big things, in terms of spectacular things, achievements that are far beyond what every other person could do. So greatness for our society is for a selected few. In Jesus, however, service is a state of the heart, and the words are often unseen. And service is for everyone. Everyone can do it. It doesn't have to be spectacular. May often be unseen. Also, people aim for higher office, they say, in order to serve. Diba? Parating naririnig natin yan. Gusto kong maging ganito, gusto kong makapasok sa ganitong posisyon, para mas marami akong magagawa sa karamihan, no? Sa mga mamamayan. Disciples are told to serve, however, to deserve higher office. Baliktad. You seek to serve, and that will give you the higher office in the kingdom of God. So baliktad siya. Therefore, service determines one's greatness, and not greatness that determines one's service. Ulitin ko po yan. Service determines one's greatness, and not greatness that determines one's service. It is not in how much we serve that determines our greatness, but how much love we put into our service. So, as we look at this story now, I want us to sort of reflect exactly on what this passage is for us. I would like us now to just group ourselves for the next 15 minutes, okay? You can group yourselves in 4 or 5 only, and then we will have an activity. So you can do that now. Group yourselves into 4 or 5, maybe a semicircle, and those people you're comfortable with, and then we will have some kind of a group activity, okay? So let's do that now. Find your group mates, face them.